our LEAs and non-public schools are getting the resources and support that they need to ensure our students receive an excellent education. So in accordance with the DCMR Chapter 2800, OSSE is additionally committed to ensuring that our students with disabilities attending non-public schools receive a free appropriate public education, or a FAPE, and additionally that they get so with proper positive behavior supports in a safe school environment. So as such, OSSE has determined that we are going to start receiving incident reports from our non-public schools. So we've developed an application within QuickBase under Squire. It's a new room, the incident reporting section of that database, and this will permit non-public schools to upload their incident reports of individual DC students into the system for OSSE review. So starting Monday, August 27th, 2018, any non-public school that holds a certificate of approval or COA with OSSE is required to notify us of any incident that takes place at that school that involves a District of Columbia student. Non-public schools are required to complete that notification process through Squire within 1 business day of the incident. When that incident is uploaded into Squire and saved, that notification is made to OSSE, but it's also made to the LEA of enrollment. So you will receive an email alerting you of the notification, and you can log into Squire and review that incident report. You will only see incident reports for students that are enrolled in your LEA and attending a non-public school. This new requirement does not relieve non-public schools and LEAs of your monitoring responsibilities under Chapter 2800 of the DCMR. So as an LEA, you'll still maintain the same responsibilities prior to this new reporting requirement to ensure that students in non-public schools are getting a FAPE, that their IEPs are being implemented, and that any additional regulations regarding monitoring or implementation of programming regarding students who have had incidents at school remains the same, and the same remains for our non-public schools as well. So let's jump right into those regulatory requirements. So as I said earlier, the DCMR authorizes OSSE to receive information from non-public schools. If you specifically look at 2836.1, non-public schools are required to make available to OSSE different aspects, informational aspects of their school's program. Focusing to the end of that regulation, they also are required to provide us any other information that OSSE may reasonably require in exercising its duties as the SEA. So as we explained earlier, OSSE is committed to ensuring that our students with disabilities in non-public schools are receiving a FAPE and getting their positive behavior supports in a safe school environment. And so in exercising our duties as the SEA, we are going to be receiving incident reports and reviewing them for compliance. If you look at the 2 additional regulations on there, we wanted to provide them as a reminder. So 2820.4, LEAs, in addition to parents and other government agencies that are involved with that student's placement, should be receiving a written copy of an incident report within 1 business day of a restraint or seclusion incident. And so this new requirement that we have will also now allow for OSSE to receive that notification. And then 2830.2, LEAs and again parents and other agencies should be receiving in writing within 1 business day a report for any other incident involving a physical injury to a student. And so again, this new requirement will allow for OSSE to receive those incidents for students attending non-public schools. So what types of incidents should you expect to see? So you'll expect to see some very specific, some incidents that have very specific reporting requirements. So this includes physical restraint, mechanical restraint, chemical restraint, prone restraint, seclusion, and they all have very specific reporting requirements under DCMR. So you would expect to see some of those. You wouldn't expect to see, hopefully, any mechanical or prone restraint incidents uploaded, as they are prohibited under the law and are grounds for revocation of a school's COA. So we hope, and our understanding is that our non-public schools are not doing any prone or mechanical restraint of students. You also may see some additional incidents that are uploaded into Squire for your students that have more general reporting requirements. So you might see a report of suspected abuse or neglect, physical injury, or emergency reporting. We've gotten some specific questions regarding these three types of incidents. So for suspected abuse and neglect, non-public schools are not required to upload into Squire any suspected abuse or neglect that may be happening in the student's home or community. We have let non-public schools know that they still have their obligation as mandated reporters to report that suspected abuse and neglect. However, they do not have to upload a specific incident to OSSE and to Squire for any suspected abuse and neglect that may be happening in the student's home. They do need to upload into Squire incidents of suspected abuse and neglect that may happen within their non-public school. So whether that is a staff member or volunteer or someone else in their non-public school building where abuse and neglect is suspected, they should be uploading those incidents into Squire, as well as fulfilling their obligation as mandatory reporters and reporting that suspected abuse and neglect to the appropriate Child and Family Service agency. For physical injury, so this would be any sort of additional physical injury that may happen in a non-public school. Our students, sometimes there are things that happen. Children trip and fall or get hurt on the playground. Those incidents should be reported in our incident reporting structure within Squire for OSSE's review with compliance. And then for emergency reporting, we don't expect that non-public schools will be uploading very many, if any, of these types of incidents. So we've explained to them emergency reporting. This is, if there's ever a larger emergency at a school, should there be something like a fire, and they need to continue to report that to OSSE with our current procedures that we have in place. But if there is a student-specific incident that happens within that larger emergency reporting that's related to it, we wanted to at least provide them an opportunity to have a space to upload that. I'm not sure if that's one that we'll see a lot, but we wanted to ensure that if there was a student-specific incident that happened out of a larger emergency reporting incident, that they would have an opportunity and a space to upload that for our review. But as I said, I don't expect to see very many of this emergency type reporting incident uploaded into Squire. So we're going to jump into the more detailed and specific requirements for incident reports. So as I shared, our restraint and seclusion sections of the DCMR are really specific in the types of reporting that's required for those incidents. So 2820.1 of the DCMR notes that if any form of restraint or seclusion is used in non-public school or program shall prepare and file a written report consistent with the requirements of that section. And so we're going to go into some just review of a couple of additional requirements, but in our next slide we're going to go into very specifically what we'll be looking at that must be included in each incident report for restraint and seclusion that's uploaded into Squire. So just a couple of reminders. 2820.3 notes that a written incident report shall be prepared for each student incident that involves restraint or seclusion and placed in that student's permanent file within 24 hours of the incident. And OSSE has noted that a student's permanent file is within SEDS. So non-public schools are still required to upload those incident reports of restraint or seclusion into SEDS within 24 hours of the incident. As I said earlier, this new incident reporting requirement doesn't relieve non-public schools of their obligation to ensure compliance under the law for all sections involving incident reports. So in this case, you would still expect to see those incident reports uploaded into SEDS within 24 hours. And then OSSE and LEAs and parents and any other agencies involved with the student would be receiving written copies of those incident reports within 1 business day. One question we have received is whether or not LEA's notification through QuickBase would be sufficient to serve as that written notification under the regs for LEAs. We have shared with non-public schools that it is. So when they do upload incident reports within Squire, the LEA will receive notification through the system that they can then go in and review that report. What we have shared with non-public schools is that their use of the system doesn't relieve them of the requirement to ensure LEAs get it within 1 business day. So if the LEA uploads it into the system if the non-public school uploads the incident report in the system and it's past the 1 business day, there would be non-compliance if they didn't notify the LEA in different means prior to uploading it into the system. So they still don't need to do so timely, but they can use the system as notification to the LEAs for that written incident report. And we'll talk a little bit about LEAs and access to Squire in a few slides. The last additional requirement reminder that we put in here is 2820.5, and this notes that except in the case where the child's IEP authorizes the use of restraint or seclusion and a BIP has been created, an IEP team shall meet within 10 business days of the incident of restraint or seclusion to consider the need for an FBA or a BIP, and also to discuss non-physical, non-restrictive de-escalation strategies. If the student already has a BIP in place, then the IEP team should review that and revise that BIP as appropriate. So let's jump into what specifically should be in each incident report and what OSSE will be looking at during our review of the incident reports. So all incident reports for restraint and seclusion should contain the student's name, the date that the incident occurred, beginning and ending times of the incident, and beginning and ending times of the actual restraint or seclusion. So these could be very different times. The incident could start at a certain time, and the staff could be using de-escalation strategies, non-physical techniques to try to de-escalate the situation. But it could turn out that a restraint or a seclusion is needed and is permissible under the law, and so they would then calculate the beginning of that restraint time as well, and then the ending times could be different as well, depending upon the release of the student and whether the actual incident ends at a different time. So OSSE will be looking for the different times based off of what happened during that incident and during the restraint or seclusion. An incident report should also have a description of relevant events leading up to the incident, any interventions used prior to the implementation of a restraint or a seclusion. It should also include the log of events during the restraint, including the restraint techniques used. There may be more than one restraint techniques used during the incident, so we'd be looking if there were multiple techniques used, as well as the log of events that happened during the seclusion. It should include a description of injuries. This includes the student, other students, staff, and other personnel involved, and if there was any property damage. It should include a list of all school personnel who participated in the implementation, monitoring, and supervision of the restraint or seclusion event. So not just the staff that implemented the restraint or seclusion, but the other staff involved as well. And additionally, their signatures should be on the incident report. So not only the list of staff, but also the corresponding signatures of each staff member as well. And lastly, it should include a description of the short-term plan approach to addressing the student's behavior in the future. So all of these things should be included in every incident report for restraint and seclusion. And during our review of the incident report, OSSE will be looking to ensure that these things are included in each report as well. So let's talk about what the incident reporting system will look like within the larger Squire. So this is the main details page that non-public schools will click into to complete an incident report for each student. So let's talk a little bit about access to Squire. So non-public schools will have access to Squire, the incident report system, in there as well. So school staff, at least one school staff at each non-public campus will have access. There may be additional reasons why we need to grant additional users, and OSSE is working with the non-public schools to ensure that they all have access to the system. LEAs also will have access to be able to log in and read-only access for each incident that's created for a student enrolled in your LEA and attending a non-public school. So if you need to change your POC for Squire, you can reach out to me directly. My email address will be on the last slide of this presentation. Any LEAs that originally reported specific POCs that were needed for their LEA and our original training for LEAs on August 23rd, that has been adjusted in the system. Any LEA who didn't specify a specific POC, the first staff member listed as the SPED POC within eSchool Plus was named as the POC. If at any point in time you need to change that person, if staff changes, or there are updates to your school organizational chart, please make sure that you get in touch with me so we can make the appropriate changes so the right staff are receiving notifications regarding incidents for your students that you have attending a non-public school that are enrolled in your LEA. Non-public schools will go into this system to create an incident report. If we take a look at that first student details section, non-public schools will have a drop-down box where they will be able to choose students who are attending their non-public school. This drop-down box is tied to SEDS. So as a reminder to LEAs, once a location assignment has been issued to a student enrolled in your LEA to attend a non-public school, please make sure that you're issuing that PWN timely and that you're making the appropriate SEDS changes for attending schools so that those changes can be reflected in the QuickBase system, and non-public schools not only have access to the students in SEDS, but also have access to them as a field within QuickBase. And as always, if you're having issues with making that change, please make sure you're contacting your SEDS point of contact, putting in an OSSE support tool ticket, and contacting us if there are any further issues with making those changes timely to the appropriate attending non-public school. So once that non-public school selects that specific student, all the rest of the information will populate via what's in SEDS, and so all that information will be in there. They'll then go into the incident details section. As you can see at the top, there are linked to the COA regulations or Chapter 2800 of the DCMR. So non-public schools and LEAs can click into that if you're ever looking to get more information regarding a specific regulation. They'll click in the dates of reported to the LEA and the dates the incident occurred. They'll be able to click into the type of incident. There may be more than one type of incident per report, so that allows for them to click more than one incident. And then you can also see at the top, there's a little, next to type of incident, there's a little information bubble, so you can, non-public schools and LEAs can hover over that if you need definitions regarding the types of incidents. Then non-public schools will be able to upload that incident document. LEAs will have read-only access. You'll be able to click on it and read the incident report. We do also have another field of supporting document upload, just in case non-public schools want to provide OSSE and the LEA with additional information regarding the incident. We wanted them to have a field where they could upload any supporting documentation if they want to. It's not a requirement. You do just need to upload the incident, but we did want to give them an opportunity to upload any supporting documentation they think might be necessary for us to take a look at. They'll then move down to the parent notification section, and they'll let us know whether or not a written copy of the incident report was sent to the parent within 1 business day, yes or no, and then they'll share with us the notification method. One thing that we've shared with non-public schools is that in that notification method, you won't find phone call on there. While it is best practice, and we do encourage our non-public schools to communicate with the parent via phone or text regarding any sort of incident that happens with their child, the regulation is clear that they also need to ensure that a parent receives a copy of a written incident report, and you can't provide that via phone. So the notification method could include things like email to send via regular mail or certified mail, or maybe there's a handoff between the staff and the parent to get them that in-person delivery of the incident report. There's also a supporting document upload field as well. Again, it's not required, but if the non-public school wanted to provide us with the email chain or a copy of the letter or some other documentation regarding the notification of a parent, they absolutely can, and we gave them the field to be able to do so. So once they complete the sections of the form, they'll hit save and close. Non-public schools and LEAs will have read-only access to the incident review status there. For all non-public schools submitting the incident report, the status is automatically set to submitted to OSSE. Once OSSE receives the incident report, non-public schools and LEAs will be able to see the changes made to incident review status. So once the case is open and assigned by OSSE, you'll be able to see in the incident review status that the case was open and assigned by OSSE. Once OSSE is in the review of the incident report, non-public schools and LEAs might see things like no additional action required, meaning that OSSE reviewed the incident report and we didn't find that there's any additional action needed by the non-public school at this time. They might see submitted to or referred to the non-public monitoring team for further review. That might mean, referred to the non-public monitoring team. That might mean that then our review of the incident report notes suspected non-compliance, and it's been sent over to the non-public monitoring team for possible issuance of a finding. And then lastly, you might see that the incident is under further review. That might mean that OSSE needs to collect additional information before making a final determination regarding our review of the incident. So LEAs and non-public schools will have be able to see within the system that incident review status and be able to see where it sits currently under OSSE's review. So some additional resources that we've pulled off of our website to share with non-public schools and LEAs is the start of school year. We certainly want folks to be able to take advantage of the various resources that we have, which include our Part B monitoring tool, our positive behavior support and emergency behavior interventions resource sheet. We have recorded webinars of key areas of compliance for non-public schools or students attending non-public schools enrolled in LEAs, our tip sheet for compliance and monitoring, our non-public toolkit, and then specifically for non-public schools, how they can navigate the larger Squire system. So we shared the incident reporting section of Squire is this new separate room. LEAs will only have access to see the incident reports and not the larger system, which is used to collect information from non-public schools for OSSE purposes, as well as not all of our non-public school staff will have full access to Squire either. For any additional reviewers that need to enter incident reports, they would just again have access to that incident reporting room. So some additional questions we've gotten from LEAs include, again, do LEAs expect to receive a separate notification from non-public schools for that copy of that written incident report, or will they expect to see it through the QuickBase app? We have let non-public schools know that the notification through the app can absolutely serve as that 1 business day notification, but do remind them that they need to make sure that they're doing so timely. So non-public schools may elect to do that, or they may elect to do both, but you will receive a notification anytime an incident report is uploaded into the system, Squire, for students attending a non-public school but enrolled in your LEA. We also have received questions regarding notification in SEDS. So that is a separate requirement under the law. So a non-public school's obligation to upload the incident report in SEDS is separate from their obligation to provide parents, LEAs, and OSSE within that written incident report within 1 business day. So you will have an opportunity to see that incident report in a couple of different platforms. We've also gotten questions regarding the issuance of findings to non-public schools. So should there be a finding of non-compliance, that would be issued to the non-public school via DC CATS, our District of Columbia Corrective Action Tracking System. But we do encourage and remind LEAs of their obligation to monitor students in non-public schools. So if you are seeing issues with incident reports or having issues with compliance regarding different provisions under the DCMR regarding incidents, that you are sharing that information not only with the non-public school regarding your concerns for that specific student, but also that you're sharing that information with OSSE as well. Any additional questions or concerns after reviewing this training, you can share them with me, Katie Rita. I'm the Special Programs Manager at OSSE. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email regarding this training and the new incident reporting requirements for non-public schools. Additionally, if you have questions about access to Squire for your LEA, who is the POC, or if you need to change that POC, please feel free to send me an email. I want to thank everyone for watching this webinar today regarding the new incident reporting requirements for non-public schools. Thank you so much. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Have a wonderful day.